Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. 5 dead lives.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast, Mini. I'm your host, Mini Sam.
I am Mini Leslie, bringing you your Mini, super mini episode.
Tiniest episode you've ever seen. This is tiny.
It's tiny.
It's tiny.
Yeah, it's on your screen or on Spotify. It's gonna be the tiniest of things.
I'm surprised you could even click it. It's so small. It's
yeah.
Like, oh no!
Did I click it?
Did I click it?
It's like when you're trying to like exit from like ads on a screen and then you end up actually clicking the ad and you're like, fuck, no.
Now I got all these pages of porn up there.
God damn it.
I didn't open them.
I didn't open them.
I didn't do it. That was an ad I accidentally clicked.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Porn-lutely.
Turn
Okay.
this off, Mom. Go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Go to sleep. Well, today we're going to do a little celebration of those good old classic directors.
Yes.
Action.
Because,
Cut!
Cut!
I'm an asshole. Well, the director, in case you don't know what the director does on set, it's essentially their vision. This movie, this ship that is a production is captained by the director. It's their vision. They're the one who's interacting with the actors to get the right performance, working with the cinematographer to get the right shots of the moods that they want to invoke. So at least creatively, it pretty much all goes back to the director, and all the creative decisions go through the director to get to their final vision. So that's why there's so much emphasis and importance held over the director's head.
Yes.
Very highly respected position on a movie set, for sure.
Yeah.
And so today we thought we would just highlight a couple directors that we really like and just talk about them a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about them.
So how about you? What are some of the directors that you think of?
The ones that I think of, it creates one person that is freaking weird, and I don't know. Now I feel like he's respected and looked at, just because his style is very niche. David Lynch. I just think the storytelling that he does through his cuts and editing is so phenomenal. You can kind of create your own interpretation of the film. And I really like that. I really like that he doesn't give a fuck about trying to make a movie that has existed before.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is frustrating that you don't understand what's going on fully. Or that the acting all of a sudden becomes a different thing during some of the scenes and then totally different other scenes. So then you don't get quite a interpretation of the character. But again, the storytelling that happens is just phenomenal.
And you've kind of already talked about it, but he's unapologetic.
Oh, absolutely.
He doesn't
give
a shit about, he makes the projects that he wants to make, and he makes them how he wants to make them. Mm-hmm. Who cares about story structure?
Absolutely.
Who cares about, any story arc, any semblance of that? He, I look at David Lynch as more of, everyone's an artist, in this, but he's like a true artist, where he's like pushing limits, and he's like experimenting with things and making things that he finds artistically pleasing, which how can you not respect that?
Exactly. And I think for a person to have created whatever the fuck he wanted and to be this successful and respected is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it, he then opened up a door for people to then just, I don't know, just do what you want.
Yeah.
Do what you want. And the movie that really got me into, obviously Twin Peaks is my route to David Lynch, but also Blue Velvet. I don't know why that movie just was so resonating to me. I just really liked Blue Velvet.
It's wild.
And I like the song. She wore blue velvet.
It's very off kilter. It's very unhinged at points, but it feels like an expression. It feels like he really wanted to have a feeling come across, and feelings definitely do come across in that movie. And all of his films are very much, you're never gonna find a David Lynch film that's like a studio David Lynch film. He would never do that. He's too rebellious of a filmmaker to ever let a studio tell him what to do or what to make.
And then I think if somebody does do that, then he would definitely do a movie with the opposite.
Exactly.
Everything.
Just to be like, fuck you.
And another thing about him is that we just recently talked about actors and how we admire good acting and what that entails for us. But he's not afraid to grab people that are not really great, you know, or known, and he just makes his shit, and I can tell that sometimes those actors are being told how to say things because he has a very specific way that he wants the characters to come up through. Because what's in Twin Peaks and Dune, what's the actor's name?
Kyle McLaughlin.
Yes. Not great.
Nope.
Not great in these films. Ish. But also, I think it was just the way that David wanted him to act. And he was like, okay, I can do that. So then he did. And they became really, really famous. Mulholland
Drive.
Yeah.
And he was in Blue Velvet as well, and Twin Peaks. And I think you're right. He likes him. David Lynch likes him, obviously. Mm-hmm. So that's all that he's concerned about.
What a fantastic... to be somebody's muse. To just be cool. Getting called from these people. Mm-hmm. And just have a job.
Yeah. It's it's awesome. It's hey, sweet.
It is.
Well, and it also comes down to just we work together well. They probably work great together and can get along and just know what each other needs as far as creatively, So why wouldn't we just make a bunch of movies together?
Exactly.
You see that a lot with certain directors. They bring actors back to work with them because
especially if they have their own studio.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Adam Sandler.
Definitely. Martin Scorsese, we see him. Quentin Tarantino, we see these guys work with the same actors over and over again because they trust them. And that's partly of what filmmaking is having a certain amount of trust for your actor, your director, your producer, your editor, everyone has to trust that everyone's going to do the job. So it's nice when you can trust
when you can get that
someone
and not have to really
dig it out. Yeah. I guess my first director that I kind of wanted to mention is a newer director.
Oh, wow. I wonder who you're going to say.
I'm going to say Ari Aster, director of Hereditary and Midsommar, so far. And, I think that to have a director kind of hit the scene with 2 movies, and we already, or at least I feel like I already know exactly the type of movies I'm getting myself into when I'm going to an Ari Aster film. It's pretty impressive. He's already so set into his style, but also he's at the beginning of his career, so his style can evolve beyond this. Is very exciting to see. And he's a person who I always talk about intentional filmmaking, and knowing exactly what you're putting in there. He does that, between his camera movements and even the set design, and how he has his actors perform. He knows what he's trying to say.
Oh yeah.
And he knows exactly what he wants to get out of these shots and the feeling that he wants us to feel. And at least from the first 2 movies that he's made, he does it very well.
Chef's kiss. My God, are they well done. well acted, well everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's just like, what I also love in movies is the watchability. He throws so much in there. Without it being in your face, that you can watch it so many times and be like, holy shit, I didn't even notice that thing sitting on the back table. That relates to this thing later.
I just love grabbing those things and I'm like, yeah, I see you.
Yeah, it's just like film discussion, popcorn everywhere. You can take a bit of everything and just...
dissected.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like that scene
Give it to us.
in Willy Wonka when you walk into the candy room and you can take a bit of everything.
Yeah. You can grab this flower and drink the contents inside and eat it too.
Everything is digestible because everything feels intentional. Everything feels like he put it in there. He put that in the frame. That word was spoken for a reason. And it's awesome. It's really cool to see that person at the beginning of their career already have such a good handle on it. I'm
excited for his...
My God, where's it going to go?
Oh, my God. Also, another one I want to definitely mention because, God damn it, he is also fantastic. Jordan Peele. My Lord.
Yep.
God damn.
I mean, talk about, like, having social commentary.
Oh.
My God.
Yeah. Can't wait for Nope.
Yep. Because who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? I was afraid of Us in the sense that I didn't know how gory it was going to be. It didn't get there for me, which was like, I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if he will. I don't know if he's going to step forward to that kind of genre.
Well, I think at least I trust him as a filmmaker now to, if it needs to go there, if the story is benefiting from that, he'll do it.
Absolutely.
But in the films that he's made so far, the holding back of like gore and stuff like that has almost, it's been totally fine, because those movies don't need it. We're getting enough of this like eeriness and creepiness that he's building, and this social commentary that's being like woven into every single choice that he makes too so well, again, without it feeling so in your face and like nail on the head of like what he's trying to say, that it all just works so well together. And Get Out and Us, I feel like, can be such a long conversation of what is he really trying to say.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't lay it out there plainly. He feeds you these like nice little bits here and there through the whole film to make you have to think and make your own decisions.
But what a great also, like, there's always, those tropes, those character tropes, and always the brown people are the ones that die first. Mm-hmm. And now for them to be the main characters and for them to be the heroes of their own story is so pleasing to watch. And it's sad that it's taken this long, but my gosh, is he doing a fantastic job.
And also he's providing that platform while also commenting on the fact that it has taken so long for that, for this to come to be, Yeah. So he's flipping things on their head and like pointing them out in such a smart way. Yeah. Too.
I need more women directors in horror.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
and he and Jordan Peele, speaking of him, he gave I cannot remember the name of the director of Candyman, but black female director, highest grossing, I think, film for an opening weekend in history, directed by a black female. That was Candyman, and he was he wrote it and he was a producer on it. So he is not only pushing it as an art, but pushing filmmaking as social commentary. And we're having these discussions because he is a filmmaker and is making these movies, which is great. I mean, that's beyond art. That's making a change in society. Yeah. So it's very cool.
Very, very awesome.
Another person that I want to mention, I'll go back a little bit. I want to talk about Wes Craven a little bit. He writer, or actually I don't know if he wrote it, but he was the director of Nightmare on Elm Street. So he is one of the creators of Freddy Krueger and kind of that whole, almost like the kickoff of slasher movies. He's one of the forefathers, of horror. But then, he comes back almost 15 years later after kind of setting the genre rules, and comes back with Scream and takes all those rules that he set up in the 80s and then flips them on their head to make it, even like to turn up the genre a little bit. And he celebrates the genre there too, by making it a little more tongue-in-cheek. And something that I also appreciate about him is he always does practical effects as well. Very big fan of practical effects. And so I just appreciate him for just being a staple in the horror genre, like almost from the beginning. And he died, I think, in the early 2010s. But he was making movies up until he died. So he's just one of those guys who's just stuck around and pushed the genre and cared about the genre, and celebrated the genre when maybe people didn't take it as seriously, but he always did.
But like, imagine also like doing, like creating something, and then you might not notice that you're creating rules within this like genre, and then you start seeing that other people are kind of like getting the same things, like using the same tropes or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, like no, this is not what I meant to do. So then you create something else, to kind of be like, no, guys, like
I've been there, done that.
Yeah, go and discover how to, bend all of the, I don't know, like
bend it and push it to new places. Try again, kind of like David Lynchy. He's not as crazy experimental as he is, but he definitely is one to push the genre to places that we haven't thought of before. Which I always can appreciate that, because that's going to continue to evolve filmmaking in general.
I just remembered I didn't mention on our favorite movies.
Okay.
I totally forgot about my ultimate favorite movie.
Whoa, what?
Which is Her.
Her.
Because I'm going to mention a director who I thought directed that movie, or I can see them directing it. Yorgos Lanthimos.
Okay.
He's a Greek director, and my God, do I love everything he's coming out with. I haven't seen, I think, Dogtooth, but The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer is what like really cemented my love for this person. And again, I kind of thought that like he had directed that movie when it first came out, but then I like looked up his, his list, and it's not him. Her is directed by some guy
Spike Jonze.
Yeah, Spike Jonze.
Also very cool director.
Yeah, I'm like, cool, all right.
Yeah.
Awesome. But yeah, Yorgos, I really, really like his style. And he's another person that likes to keep with the same actor, which is what's his name?
Colin Farrell?
Yes,
yeah.
Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. He's the Penguin in Batman.
Yeah, it's true.
And I totally forgot. And Adam
did not recognize him.
No, not at all. Like practical effects.
Insane.
Like they added stuff. But my God, I was like,
it's gross.
Yeah.
It's gross.
But
and Yargo, going back to him, he's another one of these guys that feels like he's just doing what he wants to do. His movies are definitely a little off kilter, a little strange, but that's because I think he's lending what he wants into films and just being unapologetic about it.
The concept of The Lobster.
Yeah.
To some people, it is a very unsettling thought. Like, if you don't find that there's this program that if you don't find the love of your life, you can choose the animal that you want. Because maybe in that sense, you'll be able to have somebody.
Yeah.
Or something. But yeah, it's I don't know how hopeful that movie is, but
not many of his
fun.
movies are
no
hopeful, very void of hope. I
love it.
Very dystopian, but like near future, where it's like it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it's still weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's still weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the last one that I really wanted to mention, there's like two that kind of like go hand in hand, and I like them for the same reasons. It's Stanley Kubrick, but also I wanted to mention James Wan, because I like them for the same reasons, and that is both of them are very intentional filmmakers, and both of them use camera movements incredibly well. Stanley Kubrick he invented the Steadicam practically, so that like panning or following behind people or in front of people, I always associate with him. He was also a super massive stickler for production design, for colors, and for what's in frames, and perfectionist almost to a fault too, where people were, got their feelings hurt, and people were like sometimes verbally abused by him if it wasn't his way.
Yikes.
He was like that kind of like perfectionist.
A little OCD.
Yes, very much OCD, and pushing things past the limit that's okay. I haven't heard the same about James Wan, but he is also very similar, where colors and camera movements and things within the frame and moving through spaces, very similar, very meticulous, and
remind me what movies
so he made Saw. He also did Insidious and The Conjuring,
yes.
And Insidious 2 and in Conjuring 2, and most recently Malignant, which all of those movies I absolutely love the camera movements, the filmmaking, because everything is so intentional. Everything has to be planned out, because the camera's moving through the space so specifically that there's no way that he's not kind of OCD and kind of a perfectionist in his filmmaking. And those two guys, like, I can respect them for wanting to get their films to that level of perfection, because they do have very good visions, very good incredible cinematic minds to then translate into actual film.
And how satisfying must it be to have maybe been working on this story, or you just like envisioning this movie in your head for freaking years, and then for it to actually be produced and you have it physically, and you're like, damn. I mean, you won't be always like 100% satisfied with what you do, because you're like a creator, so you're like on creative mode all the time, especially for your little babies. But like, man, how gratifying it must feel.
I hope so, because I can definitely see the other side too, where it's like, when you get to that level of like being meticulous and being a perfectionist, is anything good enough? Like, exactly. And I also think that some of the best directors are the ones who are never satisfied with like their work, because then they take that and then bring it with them to the next movie to make that even better and even better and even better. Sometimes, it seems like a somewhat maddening experience to be like, I'm not satisfied with this for this reason, I'm going to do it next time, and then next time something happens for you to be like, I'm going to do this next time. It's like never ending.
And speaking of, I'm just going to mention one more director, Guillermo Del Toro.
Oh boy,
I love him very much, and also just kind of, I love the fact that he's Mexican and he's very successful. And again, in talking about somebody who's very intentional in what he's doing, and I fell in love with him even more for Nightmare Valley.
Yeah,
I just really like that film.
Yeah,
I haven't stopped thinking about it since we watched it.
He is a visionary. He's an absolute visionary, and I think that
the colors, the costumes, the acting that he hires, and the practical effects and sets. Oh my God, everything is just so pleasing to watch.
It all lends back to the world that he's trying to build. Everything feels so, even if it is high fantasy sometimes, it feels like it fits so well within this world that he builds within the films. And then us as the audience can commit so hard to being in that world because everything feels so authentic in these films. Because he takes it seriously and he makes those decisions purposely. I'm glad that you mentioned him because he is just so freaking good and a visionary, and he's, especially within the horror genre, he's like, you know, people always talk about Guillermo's monsters, you know, and he's a monster creator. He's so good at making these monsters.
He loves it. And I was like looking him up the other day. I mean, I wanted to get his email to get in contact with him.
Del Toro at hotmail.com. The Bullman at...
And he was born and raised and went to school in Guadalajara. And I was just like, oh, fucking, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking up the university that he went to, and then like this like festival that he has sponsored and donated money to, just like to have been able to like, I don't know, I guess I didn't take any film classes, especially not makeup, so
there's a genuineness there, I think, about him, and like a genuineness in the fact of he seems like a genuine person, but also he seems like he genuinely absolutely loves the things that he's doing and loves every film that he makes, and you can feel that care that he has for the monsters that he's creating and the worlds that he's building, and again, he's unapologetic for it. He's making what he loves. And I think it's hard not to appreciate that. It really is.
Damn.
Oh man, Guillermo. Wow. All these people, I really do like all the, and we had quite a different kind of gambit of movies. Which is kind of cool. But yeah, hey, directors.
Yes, directors.
You're doing it. Keep doing your jobs.
Thank you. If Guillermo, if you see this, can you hire me?
Send over the email. Yes,
please.
Any of these guys,
please.
Anyways,
thanks for joining us, y'all. You know where to find me at Instagram. Color me Leslie.
And me at Beep Beep Richie T.
Bye.
And also the Deadlights Pod. That's us. Also check out the Playground Social, which is a studio that we're recording this at.
Right here.
Right now. But until next time,
let's get mini spooky.
Ooh, we are mini directors.
We are directors, and I'm gonna throw a cup at you.